Bethesda Church, 1864. The morning of the 5th, we advanced through an open field and gained the woods which the rebels held against a great number and a terrific fire of artillery. It was here that Captain Prey and Sergeant Chubbuck got their legs shot off, which has since resulted in their deaths, and a number of others in our regiment were killed and wounded. It was here also that the 5th Battery done its duty, and where another of the brave Quincy boys fell, William H. Lapham. The morning of the 7th, the rebels got range of us and caused us to fall back and entrench ourselves. While I lay in my trench, there was a grape shot put through my haversack, scattering my hardtack and rations in all directions. Lieutenant Pratt inquired if I was wounded. I answered him by saying that my breadbasket was hit, but it happened to be the right one for me and the wrong one for the rebels. He laughed. I have got the iron ball, and will keep it if I can. Private Michael Flanagan, Quincy, Company K, 18th Massachusetts Infantry. Chickahominy River, June 10th, 1864.
Dear Father, this is the first opportunity that I have had to write since I was wounded at Manassas. I received a shot in my right hip and another in my right leg, just below the knee. I lay near where I fell for 2 days and nights, and then I was moved a short distance, where there were 45 others, where I remained for 5 days more. All we got to eat was a little we begged from the secession soldiers. Private Luther M. Bent, Quincy, Company 1, 1st Massachusetts Infantry, Georgetown College Hospital, September 1, 1862.
It was a continual roar of artillery or infantry. We lost everything except what we had on our backs. We rested on our arms all the time, without overcoats or blankets or fires, and raining most of the time. For 6 days, we had only 2 crackers, and now and then an ear of corn, which we stole from the hungry mules. We made our bayonet charges Friday evening, about dark. We had all been wanting to get into battle, but I think we are all satisfied now. Our brigade is so dreadfully cut up. We are allowed to forage more now, as we are short. We are clearing this country of cattle, hogs, and sheep. The second night of the battle, our brigade was on the reserve. We lay in a big cotton field up to our knees in mud. I fell into a kind of a sleep and went to dreaming of home. The first time since I went into the army. I dreamed I was at home, sitting by the fireplace, in that old dining room, drying my feet. Everything looked the same as when I left years ago, but I hadn't seen anybody that I knew.
We are aboard the good steamer State of Maine. I have a cold and can hardly speak out loud, but for all that, I feel anxious to get there and fight for the stars and stripes. I am bound to stick to the last. I guess them hotheads will think there is something India rubber balls in the north, don't you? Private William H. Lapham, Quincy.
We were called again a few minutes before 1 to take up our line of march. It was a pleasant night. The heavens were dotted with myriads of stars, and all was calm and still. Naught could be heard save the heavy tramp of soldiers as we continued our march. We came within the sight of the battery, and oh heavens! How can I describe the scene? There were shells flying and bursting in all directions, and balls whizzing by and over. It was a foolish attack. As near as we can find out, there are 50 dead, wounded, and missing on our side. I'm sorry to write that one of our company fell, Francis Souther, shot through the lungs. We are just beginning to see what a soldier's life is. We all suffered much yesterday. Private Samuel L. Nightingale, Quincy, Company D, 39th Massachusetts Infantry Regiment, Newport News, Virginia, June 11, 1861.
Prisoners of War, 1864. Dear Father, we have arrived in Richmond at last, but not in a desirable manner. We made a raid on Weldon Railroad, and on the 19th we were attacked just before night, and the Johnnies came around on our right and our left. Nearly all our regiment appears to be here, and I guess they took about 2,500 prisoners. Our prison room is much like the upper story of a wholesale store in Boston, and it's quite clean and comfortable. We have 2 meals a day, cornbread and meat for breakfast, cornbread and beans for dinner, and we don't feel much pinch for food. They took nothing from me but army goods. Some lost everything. My health is good, and I shall try and keep it so. Lieutenant George A. Barker, Quincy, Company D, 39th Massachusetts Infantry, Libby Prison, Richmond, Virginia, August 21st, 1864. Thanksgiving, 1862. First came the roll, then breakfast, a dish of coffee and one slice of bread, then guard mounting. After that the boys went in for fun, some playing ball, some reading, and some writing. Then came dinner, and such a dinner, a piece of meat and cold water. While the rest of the boys had turkeys, chickens, puddings, pies, and fruit sent by their respective towns, and one of the towns sent the selectmen to see that the boys had it. And the Quincy boys stood with their hands in their pockets, struck with amazement. Thus the Quincy boys passed their Thanksgiving, praying that they might not pass another one like it. See Camp Rover, Virginia, November 27, 1862.
Dear Mother, all nature smiles, but the nation is clothed in mourning, grief, and most profound sorrow, as the startling and electric intelligence is announced to us that the President, the Chief Magistrate of this mighty republic, is dead. John Wilkes Booth has rendered his name most infamously immortal. Flags are flying at half-mast, minute guns are fired, and a feeling of sadness and gloom seems to pervade the Army. CLN, Wilson Station Railroad, Petersburg, Virginia, April 19, 1865.